When my Bulgarian friends suggested we take a day trip from their city, the capital, Sofia, to Plovdiv, I had to admit I've never heard of Plovdiv. But I'm always up for adventure and I want to see new things, so I said yes.
I was very glad I did because Plovdiv is full of history and I love history.
We took an inexpensive train from Sofia to Plovdiv. After hearing about the city from my friends, I did more reading online and definitely wanted to go. Plovdiv is the oldest city in Europe. That was surprising to me because I had never heard of it. Of course, everyone has heard of Rome and Athens and Constantinople, but Plovdiv is older than any of those. It has been continuously occupied since the 6th century BCE. The current incarnation of the cityscape was founded by Philip, the father of Alexander the Great, in 356 BCE. He named the city Philopolis after himself. Not much of an ego there. I like Plovdiv better than Sofia. History is on display everywhere in Plovdiv. Plovdiv is so significant it was designated the European Capital of Culture in 1999 and again in 2019. Given the other culturally significant cities in Europe, that's really saying something. The city has also been designated a UNESCO Learning Center. Just stepping off the train and heading to the bus stop, we encountered our first Roman ruins. I had read online about an ancient Roman stadium, and when we got to one, I thought it was amazing, but my friend said that was not the famous Roman theater. There was a bigger and better site that we were going to. But notice the minaret in the background. There is still a large Muslim influence in Bulgaria. On another day, my new friend Alex and I visited a mosque in Sofia. As in Italy and other places in Europe, with so much ancient history just below the surface, they often end up changing plans for buildings to accommodate the antiquities underfoot, as in this case, a shopping mall and cafe were placed just at the edge of this Roman theater. It is often a remarkable blending of the old and the new. They had a model of how the full stadium once looked. The stadium was rediscovered in 1923, and excavation has continued off and on to the present day. It would be difficult to build anything in these cities without hitting a major archaeological find. As we walked through the city, we passed numerous plaques and works of art. Our destination was the other, even older and more grand Roman theater. That Roman site is even more amazing. It was built in the 1st century CE and is still used today for the occasional stage play. And my new Bulgarian friend Alex said he had seen Dave Gilmour, the guitarist of Pink Floyd, play there. Alex plays guitar and Gilmour is his favorite guitarist. I like the idea that the arts are so timeless that the same venue that can be used for 2 millennia. You can see the modern lights hanging above the stage ready for the next performance. After the Roman theater, we stopped by a beautiful church to check it out. Bulgarians are rather proud of being Bulgarian. I saw lots of Bulgarian flags, often displayed alongside the blue and gold European Union flag. Perhaps more flags here than in any country other than the US that I've seen anywhere. In Germany, it's rare to see a German flag on anything other than a government building. Plovdiv was considered so important to Bulgarian identity that a few times over the centuries, when maps were drawn by whoever was conquering Bulgaria at this time, Plovdiv was left outside the borders of the newly created territory for fear the power of Plovdiv would make Bulgaria too powerful. This isolation and segregation of Plovdiv to sideline its power may be one reason why no one's ever heard of it. It was sort of bypassed by history a few times. I learned a lot of Bulgarian history, including it was named for the Bulgars, which translates as something like villains in the language of one of the many groups that conquered this part of the world. Bulgaria has been under Roman rule, Thracian rule, spent a long time as part of the Ottoman Empire, was controlled by the Russians, was an independent kingdom, and then part of the Soviet bloc before democracy, after the end of the Cold War, gave it its full independence. Years ago, countries with weak currencies wanted to be linked to more stable economies, including those of Germany and the UK, but neither Poland nor Bulgaria have currency that fluctuates that much anymore, and there is concern that being tied to richer countries will raise prices, which have already been going up with the worldwide inflation of the last few years. Bulgaria is part of the EU and was recently accepted into the Schengen Agreement for visa requirements, although those have not yet kicked in when I was there, but it has not yet been approved to start using the euro. Bulgaria sided with Germany in both world wars, but like Italy and a few other countries, switched sides halfway through World War II. It was fun and interesting to visit a country so different in a language and culture about which I knew so little. It was definitely a big help to have a place to stay and have friends who could show me around and translate for me. The experience also gave me the confidence to know I could visit any country whether I know the language or not. I even liked the dapper, jaunty man they had on their signs that designated walkways. Sometimes with the narrow old streets in Europe, it's hard to tell a road from a pedestrian way, so sometimes they're marked. Walking back to the bus, we paused for a drink at a sidewalk cafe. Isn't that the way it always is in Europe? We saw other Roman ruins and ancient walls around the city and visited a museum of Bulgarian history and culture and a beautiful old mansion. Unfortunately, photography was not permitted inside the museum because it had lots of colorful costumes and interesting pieces of Bulgarian history. And I noticed a coffee shop called Central Perk, and sure enough, it was a Friends TV show themed cafe. There are a lot of stray cats and dogs in Bulgaria, and we encountered quite a few cats in Plovdiv. They all seemed well cared for. We took the train back to Sofia. Bulgarian trains, I have to say, are the worst I saw in Europe. I think the one we took may have brought troops home from World War I, and from the smell, some of them may have died on it. But it was worth it for the cheap price and the wonderful day of Bulgarian culture and history. Where's the most unusual place you've seen a concert? Where's the worst train you ever took? Let me know in the comments. And join me next time on Walt's Wanderings when we'll visit some of the oddest tourist attractions I've ever seen. Please like and subscribe, and come along for the next adventure. Stay tuned.